I've been trying to limit how much I do these based off of some things in my personal life. But I'm not gonna talk about nothing wild. So if y'all think I'm gonna say something crazy, the few of you that might watch this, if anybody, this might just be like a self-talk session. So I want to talk about the main character syndrome, or it's not always main character syndrome. Sometimes it's just us dealing with our own, expectations and anxieties and how we relate that to other people. A lot of time it can get very convoluted. Let me do this. See if yeah, I'm a little sweaty from work. Um, I think a lot of times we place certain expectations on each other, and then we rationalize it in our head because a lot of times we might be like, "Oh, I got this thing coming up. I got this thing going on. Oh, I got this work that needs to be done. I need this to be done. I want to go out and do this. I want to go out and do that." And a lot of time we put nobody can really go in our head and know what we're doing. They can kind of look at our face and make interpretations, but a lot of times we are so focused on the day-to-day activity or the rat race that a lot of times when we have certain expectations of people and want them to accomplish certain things, or we have a certain goal in mind for them, or we see a vision, whether it's something great or something horrible in somebody, then when they don't meet that expectation, or for example, if you're driving on the road and you're late for work or you're wanting to get somewhere a lot faster than most of the people driving, and there's somebody driving in front of you, so you're gonna be honking the horn, cursing out on time about move, I gotta go, blah, 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 you drive too slow. And then you're sitting there placing your stress onto another person. So then everybody, cause here's the thing, let's kind of navigate and go there. What speed, let's say if you're driving on a road that's 45 miles per hour, what speed do you expect that person that's in front of you to drive? Cause I guarantee you, everybody ain't gonna agree on the same number. Some people might say 60, some people might say 70, some people might say 80, some people might say 100. But and some people say, well, if you ain't driving the speed I want, don't get behind the wheel. But it's this world is too nuanced. Everybody got their own thing going on. Everybody got their own stress, their own way of wanting to do something. And in order for us to move forward in a society in general, it was um we have to have some type of regulation, some type of thing that goes on to make things work. What city I'm from? I'm from H Town, Houston, Texas. Yeah, that's where I be at. That's where I'm at. I didn't need to say be at like that. I'm my skin gets a little oily, so I was sweating from what I was doing earlier. One of my two jobs. Um, so I really just need to wipe my face. I don't have any wipes on me. Yes, we live in an insane world. Um, if I had different lighting, I probably wouldn't look as oily. But yeah, it's a lot of times we it's a lot of times when we're so because if you really look at how the world is set up, it's not set up for us to be a community. It's not set up for us to get along. It's set up for us to basically become individualists, and we're stressing about our work or we're stressing about our personal life. And every time something kind of put a nick in our personal life, we take personal offense. Like if, for example, sometimes if there's two dudes in the bar and then they bump into each other. Most reasonable people be like, "Oh, excuse me, sorry, I didn't see you there." Other people will take it as like a personal offense, like, "Why did you bump into me? You did that on purpose." And it's not necessarily that you people actually believe that. It's just the stress of life. It's the stress of I got so many things going on. Maybe some people grew up in a rough neighborhood. Maybe they had a fight all their life. Maybe they used to get bullied. Now they're a little bit bigger. And they're like, I'm never gonna let anybody disrespect me again. So the next incident that could be interpreted as disrespect, they like Aaron the plumber. They ready for a fade on sight. I don't know if y'all know who Aaron the plumber is, but if you've been on YouTube for a decent amount of time, you might know who he is. Um, but this video ain't about him. No disrespect to him, because I don't want him trying to look for me talking about you disrespect me on YouTube. I don't like running fades unless it's a life or death situation. If you try to mess with my kids or somebody I care about, then I'll run that fade. But I'm not running no fade for no ego stuff. So and I know I'm saying all this. I'm not trying to say all this about expectations and how we push things on people. Like if somebody say they're going to do something, or if you communicated a reasonable expectation and they say I got you, and then they didn't come through, that's one thing. Then they need to own up to what they did and they need to move forward. But a lot of times it's you got this idea, you got that idea, you got this thing coming that way, you got this thing coming that way. And then there's a lot of people who are going through a lot of emotional things. I wanted to talk a little bit more about my personal things, but it's not wise for me to mention anything that I'm going through, at least after the papers are signed. Um, so I'm on a technical NDA or whatever it's called. Um, it wouldn't be smart for me to mention anything particular about my situation. Those of you who know me, you already know what I'm going to do. But those of you who are probably see me for the first time or might be been following me here and there when I sporadically post videos, it wouldn't be wise for me to mention anything. But I think the one thing that I've learned and different things about life is try to take things more at face, not necessarily face value, there's another word, but taking things in a perspective to where let's take myself out of the situation first. Let's take myself out of the situation first. Analyze it like I'm seeing, like I'm a third party. And then I can manage my emotions and what I'm doing. And then I can also see where they're coming from. And then I can talk about the bigger picture. Like, let me acknowledge, because sometimes people, even if you're sounding reasonable, sometimes if people are um in that mode of I want this to happen, I want this to happen, this needs to happen, they ain't gonna hear you until you acknowledge what they want you to say. So what worked for me in the past is fully acknowledging what they're saying, making sure that you communicate their viewpoint, and then follow up with, okay, but here's the whole picture of everything. And then that way they can go, oh, because if you just try to go straight to the whole picture or straight to your point, they ain't gonna hear you. And that's the weird thing about all of us. I've been guilty of it too, is we're so wrapped up in our emotions and our feelings and what we want to happen, we're not taking account of life ain't really about us individually. Some of the best things that happened to this world is when we as a collective came together and did things. Some of the best music took multiple people to make it. Some of the best inventions, yeah, it might have started with one person, but it didn't get to the scale that it did without other people involved. Some of the best buildings that's made, one person didn't make it himself or herself. So we need to get out of this individual mindset and start getting back to community. 'Cause I guarantee you, if we focus on getting back to community, a community mindset, like, hey, what did this person need? What did that person need? Oh, I got this. It's almost like a potluck, but better because you can't really trust eating from everybody's house. Uh, but since everybody is pretty familiar with potlucks, it's like I bring a dish, you bring a dish, we all bring something, and then we have this elaborate meal or elaborate feast. So all of us got strengths, all of us got weaknesses, and a lot of times, even some of the people that you might dislike the most might have a strength that can help you out in the long run. And actually, y'all might. There's some people who might hate each other's gut, but they excellent coworkers and they work well together on a team. There's even I even know there's some movies and TV shows where the co-stars hated each other's gut, but on screen you couldn't tell. You was like after after it said cut, they ran the fade, right? But on screen they was like, "We're brothers. I will die for you, bro." But this is kind of random, rambling and all over the place. I didn't really make my points as concisely as I would like, but I want us to just not necessarily. You don't have to temper your expectations, but make your expectations in a sense to where we're not this imposing our view, not necessarily views, but imposing our judgment, because there's a lot of times when you have an expectation for somebody and then it doesn't really come through, or they don't do what you think they should do, or whatever the case may be. Then you start losing respect for that person. You start thinking little of them. You start criticizing them. But it's like you're probably was like that to somebody else. I know I've said some dumb stuff before, and then moments later, somebody could say something I think it's be like, why they say that dumb thing? And we have to really think about we are all human. And I know most people are tired of people saying that we're human, we're human, we make mistakes, we're not perfect. But that's the thing, we're human. We make mistakes, we're not perfect. Even some of the most intellectual people, even the most caring people, even the most physically capable person will make a mistake, will not meet a certain expectation. Even if you're living a great life, there's going to be somebody that's going to be jealous of a skill or a tool that you have. And instead of asking you how you got there or learning from you, they rather tear you down. We we have all these different experiences, backgrounds, backdrops, all these other things. So the more we get our head out of our keisters and focus on how to improve ourselves, and then how to form a community and stop looking at each other as competition or enemies, or because here's the thing, you don't need to compete with nobody on this planet. You don't need to. But there's a lot of people in different situations and different positions in life, whether it's your corporate job, whether it's the government, whether it's whatever, they will stay on top as long as we are at each other's necks. How many times y'all seen somebody cheat on somebody and then the person that's the cheater don't get any of the blowback? It's the woman yelling at the other woman or the man yelling at the other man. And then the person that cheat sits in the background and plays it cool. Or if two people about to fight and then the instigator is like, oh, if that was me, I would have let them talk about me like that. And then you know what I'm saying? And then the two people fighting, the instigator sitting there laughing, recording, making fun of them. And it's like, that's essentially where we're at in a lot of things in life is we're so stressed out. We're so upset, insecure, afraid, egotistical, none of it, whatever aspect of life you're at. We are so wrapped up in, we're so wrapped up in our day-to-day lives and focusing only on what we got to do and what we need done and what we want to happen and what we don't have and what we want and all this other stuff. We're not paying attention to the bigger picture. We're not paying attention to how we can possibly positively affect other people, how we can maximize our strengths and mold our weaknesses to become strengths. And then a lot of us would be a lot less stressed. And then those people who ain't just straight up ain't acting right, are the people who are just out for blood, out for harming people, the people that do that. Then us as a community, we can ostracize those people. But so we can just come to collective like, okay, oh, we all he's a little quirky, but he's cool, or this person's say weird things, but he's a sweetheart or she's a sweetheart. Oh, but that person's chopping people's heads off. We need to get rid of him. Or, stuff like that. So, um, my one thing is I take personal issue, like if people that know me, I don't care what you gotta say to me. I'd rather you say it to me though. It don't matter if you gotta curse, if you gotta look a certain way. But if you're frustrated, maybe I'm not living up to a potential, maybe I'm not um what you think I should be, maybe I'm not accomplishing whatever goals you think I should accomplish. But I'd rather you say that to me. And then we can either I can agree and make changes, or I can disagree and then we can talk about why I disagree. And then after that, if you're just like, I'm done with you, then cut me off and then boom, we both move on. And I wish you the best, and it don't matter what you wish me, I still wish you the best. So my whole thing is I like to think that I'm a little bit different than a lot of people in the world. And I like to think that whether I'm doing the best I can possibly do or whether I'm slacking, because there's times I slack, uh, you can still come to me about it. Like if you personally know me. And even if you don't know me, I'd rather somebody walk up and just be like, hey, you know, I'd rather you do, and then we have a discussion. But I know a lot of times people ain't trying to have a discussion. A lot of times people just want their way, and that's the thing that bothers me is a lot of times people just want their way. And I don't know what you're dealing with, but let's not use each other as like what do I call it? As a makeup situation. And what I mean by makeup situation, God, I forgot the word I wanted to use for that. Makeup situation as far as, let's say, for example, I go to work. I have a rough day at work. Somebody says something slick to me. I let it slide, but then I wish I didn't let it slide. Then I go somewhere else, and then the next time I get triggered by something, I just go ham or haywire on that next person that didn't deserve it. And a lot of times people take their stress and then they just shoot. I remember I used to work at a grocery store and this lady was getting upset at a machine. And then I'm trying to help her out, but she was like, just fix it before I get upset at you and blah, blah, blah. So I take them. At first, I wanted to snap back, but I was like, oh, let me just chill out. So I managed to figure out what was going on and I fixed it. And then I think later on she kind of apologized. I was like, I appreciate you apologizing afterwards. But it didn't even need to get to that point. Is But that's what I'm saying. The way the world is working, we are so stressed out. And then a lot of times people think it's okay to just snap on somebody. Just because you're stressed out. I'm going to snap at you. I'm going to yell at you. And then what we're doing is we're creating a cycle of people snapping on people. Because I don't even remember what I did the rest of that day. I could have snapped on somebody later. But then somebody snap on me, then I snap on somebody else, then that person snap on somebody else. And then eventually somebody might self-delete. Or somebody might delete somebody else. So those of you who've been on YouTube for a while know why I said the K word. But I'm not monetized, so technically I can say whatever I want. But so but they still might try to hit me with certain guidelines depending on how strict they want to be about it. But I see I'm almost at 20 minutes. I'm about to wrap it up because I'm hungry. Anyways, and plus y'all probably feel like listening to me ramble for too long. So I think there's ways to communicate frustration and your expectation and how you want things to go without almost wanting to wring that person's neck or think less of that person or think if only this person do that. Because at the end of the day, I think it's just we want everybody else to change and we want to stay the same. That's what I think. Whether it's co-worker relationship, whether it's romantic relationships, whether it's just interaction with strangers, it's like that. We want everybody else to adjust and accommodate us, and we don't want to fix our own mistakes, and we want to judge and put pressure on other people to do certain things and live a lifestyle and make adjustments that we don't make ourselves. Because a lot of us, I know a lot of people judge people like Christians or other religious people for saying one thing, doing something else, but everybody does that. There's not too many other people on the planet that don't preach one thing. I'm using the words preach in a certain context. Preach one thing and then do something different. There's some people like it's not okay to hit somebody, but then next thing you know, you see them hitting them with the double decker. So yeah, I'm sounding old as crap with the double decker now. Well, anyways, this is a very scattered video, but there's nuggets and different things that if you was listening, you might be able to pick up. But let's just work on self-improving, treating each other with more dignity, giving each other more grace, and let's use discernment. Like there's a difference between somebody who's actually toxic and somebody who is or somebody who's actually, well, that's another issue, but I'm not going to get into that right now. But there's a difference between somebody who's actually toxic or actually harmful, and a difference between you just expecting something from somebody that if you really pay attention to them, you wasn't going to get in the first place. Or the way you're communicating, even though you might think, well, I should be able to tell them this. I'm just giving them tough love. I'm just giving them that, blah, 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 blah. And it's like you're basically treating everybody the same. Everybody's different. You can't give everybody tough love. You can't yell at everybody. You can't, it doesn't matter how stressful it is. We have to be able to adapt to the different people that we meet. We have to be able to adapt to the different situations. We can't do one size fit all. And there's some people like, well, you're a child because you're not willing to adapt. You rather tear somebody down and emasculate somebody or belittle or demean somebody because you don't have the tools to adjust to different people's personality traits and how they take information. And plus, they coming up with all these different tests and all these different things about different brain disorders or attention deficits or just different things. We're learning different things about the human body every day. So for us to still act like, well, I can just judge somebody for all this nonsense, it's asinine to me. But I ramble long enough. Um, the main key point is I just want people to just take a little bit more time to think about what you're feeling and think about what you're expecting from other people and think about the reality of life in general. Because we all was born without our consent. We came out the coochie like, hey, what's going on? We ain't know what was going on. Then we grew up with different families and we got taught different things. There's some things in us that we just naturally have, and there's some things that was just taught to us, whether it's through violence, through love, through whatever. We was taught certain things, and then we learn from other kids, we learn from other people, and we start to form our own opinions, form our own things. And then if you went a religious route, you went there. If you went, I do whatever I want, you went there. And sometimes people go back and forth. Sometimes people try to be in the middle and do a little bit of both. But I think there's a lot more things in our emotions and how we feel and what we think is the right or wrong things that go on in this world. And I think we're undermining that a bunch. So just think a little bit more about what you're trying to, like, about how big the world is outside of yourself. Really, even if you gotta sit outside and close your eyes and really think about how vast the world is. Billions of people on this planet, millions and billions of people have died before us. People be born after us. People will die after us because there's some people that die before we die, and then one day we gonna kick the bucket. And then there's so many things about life after death, like whether there's a heaven or a hell, or whether there's purgatory, whether it's nothing happens, whether it's a reincarnation. There's so many questions that we don't know the answers to, and we sitting there waging war over everything and cussing each other out and fighting and all this other nonsense, fighting over parking spots, crashing into people's cars, doing insurance scams, cheating on each other, saying men are trash, women are trash. In my opinion, if how the world works, all of humanity is trash to a degree. We have redemptive qualities, but in nature, we are technically trash because it's either because then those same people die. Well, I don't like that. Like, for example, Christianity. I don't like the idea that we are born sinners. But think about what happens when somebody offends you. How do you respond when somebody offends you? Just think about that. Do you go, I didn't appreciate this of what happened. I'm going to distance myself from you. Or do you go, F you, blah, 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 blah. Or if somebody offends you, do you key their truck or their car? Do you spit in their coffee if you're a barista? Do you drop their burger on the floor if you work at a fast food restaurant? Like, do you, you know, if you're slightly annoyed, like, how do you respond to what you feel like it's an inconvenience or what you feel like it's disrespect? That proves my point right there. So if you thought about something and made a certain face, you disprove my point. But let me go ahead and end this. So much love to everybody. Hopefully y'all having a good day. If you're in the greater Houston area, come to Just Dance. We have a dance social as a group class at 7:30. This probably wasn't the best idea for me to promote that in this type of video, but I don't care. I deal with the consequences. But at 7:30, look up Just Dance. Dance is spelled DANZE. I don't know, my brain. I'm tired. I got a lot of things on my mind, and I've been overworking it and not sleeping properly. Yeah. Well, 7:30 is our group class, and then our dance social at 8:30. The group class, I think it's going to be a cha-cha, if I'm not mistaken. So we want to learn some cha-cha. And then you want to come to dance social. If you already got some dance experience, come show us your moves. If you don't got dance experience, I and a couple other instructors will be there to, teach you a little bit of things while we're doing the dance social. And just come and have fun. If you goofy, be goofy. If you need a little stress reliever, be a little stress reliever. And then, check out our website. If you want to come in and take lessons, you'll either be working with me or a couple of our other instructors. And yeah, and keep a lookout for certain videos because I got some ideas that I want to do to help promote, but promote the studio. So keep a lookout for those. If those interest you, show love. So if you're in the greater Houston area, whether you in Spring, Tomball, Houston, Magnolia, Cypress, I don't know if I already said Cypress, Hockley, even though if you're in certain places, it might be like a 40-50 minute drive, depending on what. But if you're in the Spring area, it will be an easier drive for you if you're in Spring or Cypress area, I think, depending on what part of Cypress. But if you're in the greater Houston area, your estimated time might be 10 to minutes to an hour to get there. But 7:30, group class tomorrow night. Cha-cha, and then the 8 to 10 dance social. Be there, be square. I love to see y'all faces. If I never met you before, if you get there through YouTube. I love to shake your hand, get to know you. Crack jokes. I like to crack jokes. Sometimes I'm funny, sometimes I'm not. And then we also have a showcase Saturday. Um, oh, if you're coming to the dance social in the group class, I think it's $25. If you're doing the group class and the dance social, I think if you're just doing one or the other, it might be a little bit cheaper. But I recommend you do the group class and dance social because you'll get a full experience, be able to meet new people, and who knows, you might meet your future spouse, or you might meet your long lost sibling, or a very good friend, or whatever the case may be. All right, so let me wrap it up. Much love. Let's be a community. Let's think about how we feel about things properly, or in a way where we're more considerate about the outside world and not just, yes, you got to be understanding about what you're feeling, but let's think a little bit beyond that. So no matter if you love me or hate me, life is still butter, baby. And I will catch y'all whenever I randomly decide to do one of these. And I'm going to try to post more on this channel later on this year. I'm going to just post random stuff. I might post a comedy skit, might post a dance video, might post a more tight-knit talking video. And I got a couple series of videos that I've been wanting to do but haven't did. All right, so no matter if you love me, hate me, life still better, baby. My light just went out. All right, broke boy.